All right, we're back. JuddzBudz, episode 98. Don't know any good 98s. Or is it the Bedard episode, aka the lead contender for second place in the Calder race? As always, your host, Spokesy, joined by my good buddy, Mr. At State of Hoppy Hoppy. How are we?
We are good. That's all I really
Sweet. Nice. I am dead. I am a dead man. This was quite the weekend. We decided to fly on down to Florida, me and the First Lady, to pick up her car and bring it back to Boston. Tell you what, turns out country's pretty big country we got. Takes a pretty long time. Stopped like a little more than halfway in the funniest fucking like Super 8 motel in Virginia. And they're like, oh, free breakfast. I was like, okay, that's interesting. You know what that free breakfast was?
I have a bad feeling I know exactly what it was.
What was it?
They probably had bread there to make toast, and they maybe had cereal, and they maybe had fake eggs.
They had fewer things,
okay,
but instead of bread, so they had one tiny, like, and I mean like this big, tiny little like waffle maker.
Oh, nice.
And like bags of the mini bite muffins and one coffee machine that I think it was freezing cold coffee, not iced coffee. It was, I think it's just been out for weeks, possibly months, maybe even years. And the guy that was behind the desk when we walked in goes, oh, fuck off. I was like, what the fuck? Because he was playing Angry Birds and he had to go change the coffee out, but he didn't do it anyways.
I didn't know people played Angry Birds. Okay.
This guy was, I mean, I think he plays a lot. We clearly interrupted his Super 8 behind the desk job playing Angry Birds. And then got back here late and immediately woke up 4 hours later, went to work, and that's what I've been doing since then. So it's been a week. I feel like I'm on drugs because the sleep was even worse than it usually is, and it's never good. So I just thrilled to be here. Yeah. That was my weekend. You didn't get up to anything this weekend? Anything good going on?
I have a kid, so no.
That's true. Those little fuckers do ruin everything, huh?
Yeah, basically the same thing as you, just not driving.
Yeah, exactly.
My breakfast was bullshit. I didn't sleep. Yeah, it's all the same.
Nice, dude. Thanks a lot to that kid of yours. Well, we made it to All-Star break, technically. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if I'm planning on watching much of any of it because I don't really give a shit, but it's not about me. It's for the kids or whatever.
That is correct. Now, I gotta ask though, man, are you gonna pay any attention now they got $1 million purse for like this Ironman competition that they're gonna have for players for the skills portion?
Nah, probably not. I'll probably stick just maybe check Twitter every so often because I mean all the highlights end up there anyways. And I mean, just like any event the NHL puts on, they have the most like cringy possible, like the most cringe-inducing commentary. Like they get really weird celebrities to like be weird.
Is it that much worse than tuning into an actual game as far as the commentary is concerned?
That's a good point. That's fair enough. All right, you know what? I'll watch it. No, I just don't give a shit about it.
You're just afraid that Petrangelo's gonna win the skills competition again.
I still can't. That's the top 5 biggest disgraces in hockey history. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal.
What a fucking league for so many reasons. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm thrilled for the All-Star game. I can't wait. I'll tell you what though, if they were serious about the cash, they would have called in some goons, you know, just really muck it up.
Not for the game. This is for skills. Like, it's literally going to be a compilation of different skills that like a set group of players is going to do all of those. And there's some kind of scoring system and the winner gets $1 million.
Oh, that would be even funnier though if Toronto sent Ryan Reeves. Oh, the fans would lose their fucking mind.
No. I think the better way to do it, send Marner and send Marchand and have them going head to head, mic'd up the whole way.
Nice skates, nice stick, man. Cool dog.
You're my favorite player.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best, Bellows.
Yeah, that's about as much as there is for like actual quote unquote action coming up for the NHL. But did just see, like, this dropped literally the second we went live. Elliot Friedman, there is word tonight, talks between Vancouver and Calgary are intensifying around Elias Lindholm. We will see where it goes. That would be very unfair. Also, what are they giving up?
Yeah, I don't really know what they have to give up.
Newsflash, and this will piss Isha off, but anyone that doesn't know Jim Rutherford, who is, in fact, definitely the acting GM, regardless of what titles say, he is going to give away every inch of future you have to try and go for it this year. That's the only way he's hired. He is giving up every future possible, and he doesn't care. Because then he'll retire, quote unquote, and then he'll find a new team to go GM because he has a great track record.
Yeah, he has solidified himself as like the ultimate. And like, I mean, actually, now I think about it, Vegas is trying to do the same thing. He's like, oh, young futures, fuck that, dude. I don't give a fuck. It's like, fair enough. And I mean,
there's a time
Vancouver. How can you? Yeah, Vancouver's in a very weird spot though, because it's like, no one expected this. I think there are plenty of people who thought, yeah, they should be not like the worst team in the league or not a terrible hockey team.
I thought they would be good, but not this good.
This is a whole other level where like everything is just hitting. You know, they've made a couple real sneaky good pickups too, in, like over the past year or so. But it is fun. I wish I could. Some of the ones in Pittsburgh, I was just like, this trade feels like he was like, I got too many fucking futures on this in this franchise. I gotta get rid of this guy.
He hates them. He's like, we don't have to have a scouting department if we just don't have draft picks. It's a money saving effort.
It's amazing. It's just incredible. That's like what Vegas is doing now, where like they draft for the first round. You're like, all right, well, don't look forward to anything in Vegas because I mean, you will be out the door within 2-3 years maximum. It seems to be their thing. But that's interesting though. The Lindholm to fucking Vancouver. That is.
You know what though? Like I'll give it to Rutherford. Like first off, I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about him because he brought back-to-back cups to Pittsburgh. Like, love him for it. He is absolutely worthless when it comes to signing or extending players, but he usually comes out ahead on the trades. Like, I'd say he's winning 70% of those trades.
Yeah. Now, and that's where it gets interesting for them too.
Yeah, but he's no Ray Shero. Ray Shero was batting like 11 out of 10.
Yeah, right. And I mean, as far as I know, there's still a whole lot of stress about what's going to happen with Pettersson. So then if you're bringing in Lindholm, I would be very curious to see what that package looks like. Because, I mean, we know every team in the league loves Elias Lindholm. He is at that prime age where you're like, I do not want to give you an 8-year contract for a ton of money. He's an awesome fucking player. And I think a lot of teams would love to have him. But with the Pettersson situation just seemingly like getting more tenuous as time goes on. I'd be very curious to see what the package looks like and what that means for like a possible extension. Because I mean, like, let's say they sign him and do what like the Bruins did with Hampus Lindholm and like immediately give him 7-8 years. Nailed that. Then you're like, what the fuck? We still have Pettersson right here, and this kid is one of the best players in the league. Would love to have him for 8 years.
And already have JT Miller on a big old ticket.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I mean, it's interesting.
It's a cluster for sure. Like you almost have to wonder, is it something that's potentially a pure rental and they try and flip him in the offseason and like get something for his rights? Or hey, you never know what happens. Maybe something goes south and Pettersson doesn't stay, or you find a way to move JT Miller. I don't know, but you have options. And if it truly is just the push for this year, Rutherford doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, he doesn't care at all.
Very tunnel visioned. So,
yeah, it is interesting because I wouldn't have pegged like center is the big thing that they're going and targeting. But you know what?
Yeah,
price is right. You can win the trade right now. That's all fucking Rutherford gives a shit about. So,
right.
That's very interesting. That just dropped. Like Freeman just
literally the second we started. Like I was going to share the post on Twitter, and I just saw at the top of the feed. Oh shit! This seems like something worth talking about. But I mean, we'll see. I want to hear more about what the potential return is before I can even really evaluate it. Like it sounds really cool in a vacuum, but
yeah,
I don't know. There's not much substance there if you're giving away relevant like current pieces to do so. So
right. I would imagine they try to make what's his name, the Kuzmenko part of that, because like I mean
Kuzmenko, Lekkerimaki first. I'm not saying the whole thing. Like those are pretty much their like big chips.
Right. Yeah, and I mean they've drafted a couple nice pieces the last couple of years too. Like not necessarily batting 1,000 with the drafting, but like they have picked up some real nice pieces. So it'll be fascinating. But that's interesting. The very fun hockey team could get even more fun. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and very interesting.
Stay in the West.
Very, very fun. Very accurate. Only other NHL one off the top here, just because Mateo asked, Hoppy, do you want the Pens to trade Gensel? And if so, what would it take to move him? I don't know. This is a pretty loaded one for me. Like,
it's really crazy.
It depends on what happens the next like 3 or 4 weeks. That's my answer. If they look like they can make it into the playoffs, and I don't know, this is a roster that in the East is deeper in my opinion. The West is more top heavy. And in the East, if you can get in and you can catch a little bit of heat and someone besides Crosby does something for you, the Penguins have a chance. And I'm at the point where like this is glory days. Like Crosby, who knows which year he'll retire. Yeah, I'd like to see him take another kick. But if the team keeps looking like they've looked the last couple of weeks for the first week or two coming out of the break, yeah, trade him. He's kind of like you talked about, Z. He's at that ripe age where you don't really want to give him a big ticket, especially in a weird spot for this roster. Like Vancouver, it's a little bit different, right? Like at least they're in a window where they're trying to truly contend. I don't think Pittsburgh's really in that window with some of the contracts they're carrying with Letang, Malkin, Crosby, Carlson all getting 1 year older after this. I don't know. I think if you can get the right return, which if you're trading with Vancouver, which is probably what's happening if they don't get Lindholm, because Rutherford loves him some Gensel, I don't know. You got to get a legit prospect in a first. Otherwise, I'm not entertaining it. Right. I don't know what else the package contains, and I don't know what's being retained or whatever, but I need like a legit prospect, and I need a first.
I didn't realize he was 29. Like it's weird. He's like maybe it's just because he has
30 before next season starts.
That's crazy to me because like
doesn't seem
maybe
like
it's just it does feel like he's been around for a long time. I think it's the baby face. I don't know.
Oh,
he's
for
a
sure
stud though. Like
he has not aged a day.
And I'm that's like man. Yeah, it is that weird like age with these contracts, but I don't know, man. Like he's just so fucking good, and like when they've been in the playoffs, my God, has he been a monster?
No, that's the thing though. He will fetch a pretty return just because of the playoff impact, and he scores goals. There's nothing that GMs covet more than goals, and he's putting up 40 a year for you if he's healthy. No,
I was gonna say his career average is like 0.47 goals per game. He's not playing his 500th game. Yeah, man, that got to be a pretty package. If you're gonna, and like the second that trade happens, it's like, oh, this is a weird looking outlook. But then that kind of like tells you where they're. I mean, and who knows? Maybe that's where they are.
And again, all it takes is 2 hot weeks coming out of the break, and you know that Dubas is going to push. He's going to try. And I do think on paper, like there's a roster there that can compete if you round out a couple of things in the bottom 6 and stay healthy, of course. But I just, with what I've seen the last 3, maybe even 4 weeks, I'm not a current believer. It just sucks when you look at Crosby and it's like, yep, you are in the Hart conversation or should be, and no one else knows what they're doing.
It's crazy.
Kind of sucks.
Crazy. Yeah, and if Pittsburgh's gonna be like, well, we don't want to like give this contract against at age 30 years old, he's gonna sit like, what the fuck, man? Like Malkin, fucking Letang, like Carlson's up. I mean, they didn't sign Carlson, but
that's the problem though, is like you can't. Then you're literally sticking yourself in a purgatory for however long that you're not gonna truly rebuild. You've got an aging core already. Why would you add another guy that's going to be in his 30s for that entire contract? I don't think the fit makes sense, but I don't know. I've seen crazier things happen, I guess.
Right. It is like, and it's crazy, dude. Like, because I mean, with how hard they've pushed the chips in, like forever, like we knew that they would be facing this kind of a decision, or like, because I mean, if they do move Gensel, it's like, yeah, this really isn't working. Like, because you're gonna look for futures. You're not necessarily getting you something that's gonna help you like right now, or realistically, not helping probably that much next year. And it's crazy because like you're in the very early stages of the new Malkin Letang deals. It's like, well, this didn't really go as like
I don't even care. Like 3 years. I'm fine letting them just coast off and retire, whatever. Yeah, if that's like what it is, like for everything they did, I'll get over it. Like loser mentality, fine. Whatever, I got 3 cups and a lot of fun playoffs, and of course several that Marc-Andre Fleury shit on. But yeah, I don't know. Hard for me to like sit here and complain. This is it. You know, it's more so I hope they make a decision. Either give it a real kick at the can and see if you can do something, or full punt, start getting rid of assets, figure it out, rebuild. In 2 years, you've still got Crosby firing on all cylinders. Malkin and Letang are going to be more coin flips, but I'll take that risk. Especially with the contracts they're on. Like, they're not bad dollars, even if they see a little bit of regression with age. I don't know. But we don't have to waste much time on the Penguins. No one really cares. What people do care about, and it's actually funny because we were asked this question last week, and it's turned out to be kind of true. Sounds like there might be something in the works for the CHL to have players be eligible to go play NCAA hockey. I'll turn it over to you, Z. What do you make of this?
I honestly have zero idea because I don't understand that much about how it works other than like, yeah, pretty much like they can go do juniors and then come on over to college. I mean, half the guys in college, I mean, well, not necessarily with like the notable drafted prospects over, like half the fucking hockey dudes that I went to college with, they're like, yeah, 21-year-old freshman. How are you? I was like, Jesus Christ, that's insane.
Same. No, most of my Division III school was like 21-year-old freshman. And it's like, all right, cool.
So it's like pretty funny to think like that's now going to be the same thing with like big D1 schools where it's just like, holy fuck. Like, man, Hastings is going to love it.
I think it's a little overblown, but yes, Hastings is going to salivate over this shit. But like, reality is the legit players are going to be in the NHL. It's not that big of a concern. I think, though, 2 things that it does open up. One, kind of a negative. You see some of these guys, like think about a Macklin Celebrini, right? Think about all the guys from Michigan. Now that the eligibility is still open, like why wouldn't they start in the CHL? And hey, if it so happens that they make the pivot, they can change after 1 or 2 seasons and go if they're not going to be that like blue chip talent. But I think the flip side of it that could be really awesome for NCAA hockey, there's a lot of club programs that are like nipping at the heels, trying to make that jump now that you're seeing the success with a lot of the teams that have just joined. We got Augustana. We got, obviously, Arizona State. Why am I spacing on the Missouri school? Doesn't matter. If you have that much more of a talent pool to draw from, now that you got these aged out Canadian guys coming down, you can get an Oregon. You can get like all those West Coast schools. You can get the ones that maybe are traditional like powerhouse schools for football and basketball and just haven't been able to get anything behind them for hockey. It's just way easier if you have more bodies that are truly able to compete at that level, and might get a little bit more physical too. Can you imagine like playing with a half shield, playing with like fighting, being totally encouraged unless you're in the queue, because yeah, and then having to go back to playing with a cage?
Yeah. Just immediately extremely angry. Hitting, like, it's funny too, just because like
irrationally angry.
Irrationally angry. Yeah, those college kids, I mean, they love, because they can't
Lucas
fight,
got me.
like
Linden.
There it is. They love throwing some of the most insane hits I've ever seen in college. It's like, it's clean. It's like, well, you only got his fucking face with your elbow, but like, I mean, sure, I guess. Jesus Christ. So yeah, no, a little extra physicality. Be even more nuts. I'm curious, like how many players would actually end up starting major junior, ending up in college. Like I wonder if it would really move the needle a whole lot. I mean, like the WHL started their scholarship program too, which is something. I don't know. I'm very curious to see like how much it actually would change. Like you said, that would be cool to have those other programs have more appeal and like going like official or whatever. So it's interesting. I don't know what the timeline is either.
I don't either. Yeah. And it might still be just speculative. It might not even truly, be moving, but even though they're Canadians, so like, why care? I still think it's cool for some of those players that like they're playing in the CHL because they want to try and play pro hockey. If they get to the end and either just haven't hit that development peak yet, or just realize, yep, I'm not going pro, but then they still have a chance to go play serious hockey, get a good education, like, cool. Because again, we already said it. We're not getting first round picks. They're going to come and play college hockey. Like, that's just not going to be the case unless they were already going to play college hockey instead of playing the CHL. So
right.
I think it is interesting. What if, let's make it real fun though. Set limits for each school and roster on like how many kids they can have, but it's specific by league. So you can have one player from the Q, one from the OHL, and one from the WHL. So you're getting the full mix.
God damn it.
I mean, think about it. If you got 3 WHL kids on your team, people are going to get hurt.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, God. All right. Nothing else on that?
I don't think, I mean, I do think, I kind of just feel like the most likely, or like the players more likely to do that are just the ones go play major junior and then want to keep playing hockey. Like you said, there's not a path there, but you can go to college. I feel like it'd be those players we'd see more often than anything, or more than anyone else.
We're going to have an Arizona State team that's just purely Canadian.
Oh my God.
Like 21-year-olds aged out, going down to just party their faces off at ASU. That needs to be a reality show.
That would be the school would be like, God damn it. Like, we don't have enough issues. Like, this is insane. We gotta get these fucking guys out of here. I do want to see like what it would do. I haven't really read a whole lot about it anyways, but like with this, like you said before, like the scholarship thing, I'm very curious about, because that definitely changed things probably for like the kids that were always doing college hockey, like potentially negatively, where there's just like, now there's this other pool of players that just like kind of wants to come play college hockey now. And if they're eligible, that's crazy to me.
But the reality is it's probably going to hurt the guys that are like bottom 6 anyways. Like your true talented players aren't going to get displaced as much. Because again, it's not to say that there's no skill in these players that are going to come, because there absolutely is. But they're probably going to be a little bit more of a two-way grind type of mentality if it's the guy that just isn't making it or trying to make any kind of push to play pro in Europe or here. And maybe I'm wrong. I'd like to know who some of like the best players are from the CHL in the last decade that didn't end up playing any pro hockey, but like could have easily stepped in and just torched college hockey.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Whatever.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I don't know what the timeline looks like, how like soon they would even be able to do that or whatever. I have no idea. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be more developments with some more clarity on like the actual parameters of it. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. Liquor sales at ASU.
I don't know. Do you know what the liquor sales are like at ASU? I don't know that there's a whole lot of room for growth, but
yeah, I was going to say, I've probably a little stable. It's just
like a little bit of a
continue. Yeah. Just going to continue on the path they're already on. Like 6 more guys. It's not going to be this massive spike.
Crown Royal sales through the roof.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, good Lord.
Oh,
Crown Apple. Mm-hmm.
Dude, you mix the Crown Apple with that Crown caramel, and it's like those caramel apple suckers when you're a kid.
That's what I've heard.
Delicious.
What I've heard. Haven't done it myself.
One day, perhaps. One day.
Yeah, maybe.
But next week, we will be going a lot harder on really the midseason rankings for the 2024 NHL draft. Do you have a couple of questions in here, though, Z, that I'll just throw to you real quick? Just to scratch that itch for some people. First, we got Mateo, and he said for later, which this was earlier, so that makes sense. Math's out. Does Z have any opinions either way on Liam Greentree being the pick if the Wild, I assume is who he means by they, miss the playoffs?
Yeah, Liam Greentree is another one that, like, I mean, he had a good amount of love coming into the season, but, like, is now, like, similar kind of trajectory as we're seeing with, like, Caden Lindstrom, Tidge Ginla, where it's like, oh, no, this isn't just a first-round pick. Like, this is top half of the first round. I mean, where is it? Is he with Windsor? Yeah, he is with Windsor. He's got 64 points in 41 games on a Windsor team that's pretty average, but like pretty much above average in every area of the game. Like he's big, physical. He's got great touch around the net. He can score from distance. He can make plays himself. He's fucking strong as shit. He defends hard too. Like he's an all around winger. And kind of like sometimes he almost looks like a quicker version of Matt Boldy. Maybe not the same necessarily, like maybe close to the upside, but I think Matt Boldy is legitimately like a top echelon young player anyways. But yeah, he would be a phenomenal pick again, like a scoring winger that plays a two-way game, very smart, cerebral. He's a very fun player. So I'd be a big fan of that pick as well. Should they go and actually kind of tank a little bit, I could see, even if they narrowly miss the playoffs, like Greentree is a kid that could still be around there too. It's just like, and I've said this like every time that we talk about this draft as a whole, just like the draft of players who have every tool that you're looking for, just like maybe not necessarily putting it together all the time. But with Liam Greentree, I mean, like, huge upside, and the trajectory has been bananas this year. I mean, I think it was this weekend. I'm pretty sure they played Peterborough, kicked the shit out of him like 8-2, and he had 6 points. It was like a +5. So like, yeah, almost all at even strength. Like he's a beast. So he'd be a great pickup. I'm very curious to see how the rest of the season goes and where he kind of winds up on a lot of teams' boards, because I think it's going to be pretty high in that first round. Like, he's awesome. So I'd be a big fan of that pick for sure.
Nice. And as mentioned in the chat, that name for the Wild is just too fitting.
Yeah, it's too good.
Got to talk about this guy. I know you've gushed about him, Z. I'd even go so far as to say that he's your number 2 overall. So what's the scoop on this Ivan Demidov guy?
Demidov is insane, and like was very curious to see, because he got hurt right at the beginning of the season. Like, he's been torching the Russian U20 league for like 3 years. Like, as like a 15 and 16-year-old, he was like over a point per game on a very good SKA 46 team. They've got like 11 teams. It's very funny. But in terms of like upside, some of the highest upside of any player we've seen drafted in the last few years. Like, he would have been a top 5 player in any of the last 3-4 drafts. I mean, even beyond. Like, he can do legitimately everything offensively. Defensively, it's like he somehow also manages to like be quite effective, like especially on the rush, but even like in zone, he's not necessarily gonna get dragged out or whatever. But like, that's, you're not even really thinking about the defensive side of the game with him anyways. The shit he's able, some of the plays that he makes, and I don't know how he does it, but there's one specific thing I probably see him do 7, 8, 9 times a game, and it's very like small thing, but like his ability to, the puck will get like rimmed around the offensive zone and he's gonna come pick it up. His ability to pick it up in motion, pivot on his feet, and like just dice through 3 guys and either get a shot off for himself or just like beat every defenseman and then put a backdoor tap it on someone's tape. Like, he does it every fucking game. Like, the footwork is unbelievable. His ability to like change direction on a dime it's a joke, and you can't take the puck away from him. He's unbelievable. So like, for me, he's 2. Like, he's number 2 for me. Like, I fucking love Ivan Demidov. And right now I think he's on a streak of like 4 points, 5 points, 6 points, 5 points. Like, he is legitimately averaging, I think, over 3 points a game right now in the last like 10 or 12 games. Like, he's better than everybody. He should be playing in the KHL. Like, the beginning of the year, he got a few games and more than fit in. And there were a few times where before that dickhead coach for SKA, absolute dickhead, there were a few games where like we were receiving 5-6 minutes of Demidov with Michkov and Khusnutdinov. It was legitimately, so I was just glued to the screen, and I might have to go like rewatch some of those shifts because it was gorgeous. But he's unbelievable, like insane. He's like close to the like Celebrini ceiling. So wow. I'm a huge fan. I don't think teams will be afraid to take him high at all.
Okay.
I don't really think there's going to be a whole lot of Russians that have the same, like, that make as many teams nervous as they were for Michkov. Like, Michkov had the whole
length of the contract, or
Michkov had that working against him. He also, before the draft, didn't sound like he was going to talk to Eddie Taves, which is what a rock star move, by the way. He's like, nah, I'm not fucking talking to you. And then like Philly ended up like getting him to meet them at like a fucking like a junior hockey rink, which is very funny. But like Michkov had the whole contract thing, but he also was like a 5'8" right wing, very much predicated on like super high octane offense only. And I mean, like, even in his draft year, there were some plays that you're like, oh, okay, that's not going to work. Defensively was like kind of like a nightmare at times. So like there were some mitigating factors there along with the contract. Like,
sure,
Demidov doesn't have the contract issue. He's a very different player with like similar highlight reel type projection. Like, he is unbelievable, but like I don't think there's many players who are going to have the same kind of like risk factor as a lot of teams saw with Michkov. So he is fucking unbelievable.
But that being what it is, then, like, take away whatever happened last year, whatever's going on now, in a vacuum, which player do you want? If the Wild can have either player in their system, do you want Demidov or do you want Michkov?
Yeah, I mean, I still think you probably go with the ceiling. So you probably still go with Michkov, knowing that there might be more risk factors, but the reward still, if they both hit, like Michkov's going to be the like 40, 50 goal scoring, 100 point player like in the NHL. Demidov, he could put up 80, 90 points in the NHL for sure. Michkov's just, I think the ceiling's still a little bit higher, so I think you still go for the potential there if you're just gonna like make me choose one or the other.
Fair. Okay. Now I gotta ask last thing then on Demidov. I know you don't expect there to be the same like hesitation for all the reasons you just outlined, like there was with Michkov this year. What's a number for him to be drafted where like you're offended at that point or pissed off or shocked? Like what's the lowest you can see him dropping? Reasonably.
Probably like the Michkov range, like 7, probably. Like,
okay, but that wouldn't be outrageous to you?
I think I would sit there and be like, okay, I guess I was wrong about teams being worried about like drafting Russians. Like, it's the only explanation for him to be drafted below like 5.
Okay.
Because like you can make arguments for other players above it. Like for me, he's 2, but like I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're an idiot if you have him at 3. Like I'm not that guy. But like I do think if he goes after 5, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck am I not seeing? That's insane. He's absolutely one of the top 3-4 players in this draft, no question. But then again, he isn't a 6'7", 220-pound like high scoring defenseman in Russia. So like, fuck me, I guess.
Mr. Salayev, yes. All right, fair enough. Last draft prospect one, and I know we've talked about this one a handful of times, but probably worth discussing given your future ties and my past aspirations. Any reason Cole Eiserman keeps dropping every ranking I see of him? Thought he was like 2 at one point.
Yeah, he definitely was looked at as like 2, 3 coming into the year, like pretty firmly. I mean, a lot of that's just because we've seen him, eviscerate every single league he's been in since he was like 13. Like again, I brought up the fucking like some of the old Shattuck stats that are comical, like 130 points in 40 games. But I think there are a lot of teams that just look at him now and he's kind of like, yeah, he's going to score a ton of goals, but there's also a whole lot of like bad habits in his game. There's a whole lot of other like things that are probably going to prevent him from being, well, like potentially could. I'm not saying for sure will, but it's almost like they're kind of looking at him as like pretty much just like a scoring one trick pony type player. I mean, he'll flash some playmaking every once in a while, but more, I mean, pretty much right now, his whole game is just like rifling pucks into the net, which is
who wants
he
that?
does. He does that better than almost every single player in this draft. So, or maybe even just better than every single player in this draft. But I think probably just like at this point, especially this year, I mean, I think he's probably still on pace to fucking shatter the goal scoring record at the national team program. But I think it's pretty much like, okay, like this is what he does and that's it.
So
which is a pretty fucking good thing, which is why it's like, it's funny. Cause like, we're like, oh, you see the drop. He's like, I think Bobby had him at like 6 or 7. So it's like, oh, it's the epic fall, but it's just like, there are definite like flaws to his game. And I think just the lack of like, kind of like multi-dimensional play. So that's what I've seen in terms of like the criticism most often. And I get it, but it's hard to pass up a kid that projects to score 40 every year in the league.
That's okay. Now, if he does break the scoring record there, will people leave poor goddamn Charlie Stramel alone? Gabe Perreault has the record. How could you not take him?
Fucking Jesus Christ. It's just painful. And this was always going to happen too. Like the second they took him, I was like, well, that is a pick. And then of course Gabe Perreault goes, what is it, next pick? Was it the one at like right immediately after? I can't even remember at this point. But I was like, oh fuck. He's going to eviscerate college hockey and hockey, and everyone's gonna be insufferable for years. Who knows? Maybe rightly so. But even if that ends up, even if like the gap between those two players isn't huge, it doesn't matter. No one's like, oh, okay, you know what? I was wrong. This is fine. No one's gonna do that. So I was like, this is gonna be insufferable forever. So
yeah,
maybe that's why I just don't go on Twitter anymore.
Acceptance, yeah, acceptance is better.
Oh, that's right. Bonk went after Stramel. That is crazy, but whatever.
I definitely forgot about that part.
I was seeing all of these projections with like Bonk going like really high, and I was like, that is just okay. I mean, we'll see.
Wait, we got to get this one up just purely for Isha when he comes back to edit. Max Veach, many people are saying colleges outside of Stonehill won't even want the Canadian kids after seeing how bad the U.S. has been beating them in junior tournaments. I see no lies. Very reasonable. Maybe that's why it's like now allowed. It's like, oh, yeah, Canada. Like, cool. Like, that's like Norway, right?
If they can make the fucking team, man, you can come. You can go and come on down to Treeouts, but like, fuck off. Yeah, sir. It's fucking grocery stick.
Oh man. But I guess going off of the whole unfortunate nature of people just being mean to Charlie Stramel, one saving grace as we pivot here into a little bit of prospect discussion for the Minnesota Wild farm system. Mateo asks, we were having a debate on Height's eligibility for the AHL because he has 4 years, including a COVID year, but isn't 20. Can he make the jump next year?
I had to actually pull that up because I remember asking someone the same question about Lambos, because Lambos, before Wenatchee was Winnipeg, and before Winnipeg, before that, they were Kootenay. He had like 4 games 1 year as a 15, 16-year-old. Yeah. And I was like, does that count? Because after that technically would have made, I think last year that would have made him eligible for the AHL last year. I think that was the timeline at this point. I can't even fucking remember. But I mean, yeah, this is year 4. So like, I want to say in theory, yeah, he could make the jump next year to the AHL should he choose. There have been so many, this is specifically an Iowa thing. Like the last 3 or 4 years, I get so excited about like the youth movement in Iowa, and it legitimately never happens. And then this year it happens, and they need half of the fucking team in Minnesota because everyone gets hurt. Then Minnesota gets like half healthy again. They all go back down to Iowa, and they all get hurt. So it's just like, this is fucking unbelievable. I can't have 1 year of the full-on youth movement. The other day they did have I think the oldest defenseman in the game was like 25, and I was like, oh, this rules. This is fun. I think they lost like 8-0. So I mean, it didn't go well, but every year I keep hyping up. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. All the fucking like the youth movement in Iowa finally don't have to like throw Brandon Baddock on the ice for like 20 minutes for him to like punch a ref in the face. Like, I can't wait. And then it just doesn't happen. So, but there's a little bit more of a youth movement this year, a little bit. Shout out Jake Lucchini, by the way. That was a sneaky good AHL signing who has now had the opportunity to play in a couple NHL games. Very happy for him. He's been incredible in Iowa.
Go Lucchini. I love the name.
Great name. Would have been a honorable mention all name team if we were doing this as draft year. Honorable mention.
No. At a minimum.
Nothing like a good old just like normal ass first name with a cool ass last name. Like those guys, they're pretty cool. Big fan of that.
I actually think it's way cooler if it's the reverse. If you have like just a bizarro world first name and then it's like Smith, Johnson.
What if it just keeping this, draft related, my draft son, what if it was like Michael Bronseg Smith? I think that was the hyphenated part is just, oh, that's why'd we do that? Why the fuck we do this? Just make that his middle name. All right, whatever. That would be pretty, I would like that. I don't know if I've ever seen that though. Just an idea. Just gonna throw it out there for.
I drew a blue duck because I've never seen a blue duck before, and I wanted to see a blue duck.
I never thought I would hear that again. Not on a Pocky podcast, anyway.
Oh, full of surprises.
What an idiot I am.
All right, we can go on to the next one here, which Mike Owen tees up for us in fantastic fashion. Khusnutdinov, let's fucking go. We might see him in the lineup before the year is done. This came out of nowhere, Z. Like, did you have any inkling that this was even a remote possibility before Russo dropped the bomb?
No, not at all. And I mean, it's interesting.
Wild.
And I do think it makes a ton of sense because, I mean, I think, first of all, no one would have seen this coming because I don't think anyone necessarily, like, maybe people had Minnesota missing the playoffs, but, like, not a bottom 5 fucking team in the NHL at the All-Star break, you know?
I mean, I wish they were bottom 5.
Yeah, what are they? I think I was looking.
I'm sure they're hovering right around like 9 or 10.
Hell yeah.
I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah. I don't think many people have had them like that low. So, I mean, if they make the good, smart, right decision and just like not try to make the playoffs by like 1 point or like then miss out by 1 point.
Oh shit, dude. By points percentage, they're at 6.
Hell yeah. That rules.
Look at that.
That's good.
Good work, boys.
That for us.
Here we go.
Love that for us.
Judd's happy.
Yeah. But I thought it would obviously like it wouldn't have even been a possibility if this was a team that like firmly playoff team, whatever, like wouldn't have even been in the cards at all. But just given the fact that like Khusnutdinov, he's had a couple years in Russia, the whole plan was to let him, continue that development and like finish off the development process last few years. When he signed that 2-year deal with SKA, I think it makes sense because the Sochi is not a playoff team. That's for sure. We've seen him kind of having a coming out party. And like this year, it's just, he's really good some games. Like on Sunday, they were down 3-0. He put up 2 assists and a goal to tie it and take it to overtime. So like, I think at this point, we've pretty much seen what he can do in the KHL. And it's probably about that time just to see what they truly do have. So I think realistically, the only bad thing is you burn a year and you could, I mean, given the fact that Minnesota's giving out like kind of weird contracts with weird numbers of years and weird, like no move clauses and stuff, burning a year is usually not a good idea. But at this point, I don't think they really care.
Is this going to be the first contract ever where an ELC gets a no movement clause? That'd be pretty impressive.
They're gonna add it in. Yeah,
breaking down barriers. Yeah, I like it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Cosgrove nailed it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Fuck off. God damn it. It's unbelievable. But I would love to see it. I do think it makes sense. Like, there's no at this point.
Where do you want him to slot in if it happens?
Shocked if he signed. How do you not? At that point, you've already waved the white flag. How do you not let him cook? Just see what it looks like with Kaprizov. How do you not just give it a shot? Like, come on. Come on. Let's see. I would love it. But unfortunately, the thing with Khusnutdinov is he'll be just with the way that he plays, his approach to the game, like he could pretty much, in theory, like he plays a style of game that makes him very serviceable to like any combination of lines. So
you know what though, isn't it?
My big thing is like don't put him on the 4th line. Don't do the fucking like rookie Marco Rossi here. That's the big thing for me. Don't do at that point. Let him sign. I'd rather him fucking sign 2 more years than like bring him over to fucking play 6 to 7 minutes for 8 games in the NHL this year, burn a year. I'll go like at that point, it's like, all right, why the fuck did we do that? Like, what are you really learning about Khusnutdinov? Like, you're not actually seeing what you have if you stick him on the 4th line for 7, 8 minutes.
No, I'll be pretty pissed if I do that too. That's just so dumb.
You just can't do that.
Isn't it sad though? Like, doesn't he feel like the way he plays and some of the nonsense we've seen over in Russia, this guy is through and through a Dean Evison guy.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is show that 4-second clip of him diving face first into an absolute clap bomb, teeth first, with 1 second left in the second period, up 3 goals.
2 goals? 3 goals. 3 goals. Yeah.
I put that in our like smart scouting group, and like my buddy was like, this has always made me nervous about this fucking guy. Like, why is he doing that? He's like, let him have the shot, bro. Like, it's fine.
Man.
And then just tell Dean that he went in, got repairs, and was out for the first shift next period with like half of his teeth. They put up a picture of the dental work that they were doing. It was some of the most heinous shit I've ever seen in my life. But that's Khusnutdinov, baby. I love that kid.
God
He's
bless
so good.
his soul. God bless his soul. And let's continue down the Russian path here. Of course, Mateo leads in here. That dude that got carved by Russo said that Yurov isn't taking the deal offered by Metallurg.
Yeah.
Background for everyone. I don't know what the account is actually called, but they do a lot of, I think it's primarily KHL coverage. And basically, all KHL. And basically said definitively that like he could not sign anymore because he missed a deadline. And like Russo and him had the typical back and forth where Russo's in a shitty mood. We all just pull out the popcorn and enjoy the hell out of it. And well, they didn't take it well. They were a pretty sore loser over it. But now they are saying that it's leaking that Yurov is not taking the deal offered as of now by Metallurg. It sounds like it was a pretty insulting offer. Will that change? Will they kidnap his family? Like, we have no idea. But as of now, it's sounding like Yurov could be here next season.
I do think this is one that we will find out like right before fucking training camp. Like, I feel like he'll either just sign out of nowhere, much like Khusnutdinov did. Or it's like, we're going to get an update from Russo. Danila Yurov is on a plane on his way over for fucking NHL preseason in Minnesota. Like,
he just got snuck out of the country, smuggled just like Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah, it does feel like, because I mean, like every update that we've got specifically on the Yurov, is he or isn't he going to be here next year, has legitimately been on the complete other side of the other point that we had just heard, or like other idea or possibility. It's like Yurov cannot be eligible to sign, and Russo, like you said, gets angry, probably caught him in a bad mood. It was like, this is completely and utterly false. There is no rule that says that. Like, okay. And then it sounds like he's going to sign, and then he comes back. Hockey News Hub is the Twitter account you're talking about. All KHL highlights. Great Twitter page for people to follow, by the way. I think he like does anytime a Wild prospect does anything, like he will tweet out that video. I think he gets a lot of love for his Wild prospect Russian content, whatever. But yeah, there's plenty of it to go around this year. But then he comes out and says like there's no chance he's signing whatever he got offered. So at this point, I legitimately have no idea. We know that
he's gonna retire from hockey and decide that he's gonna be a professional pickleball player.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, he's gonna get a $400 fucking racket or paddle. I don't know what it is, and he's gonna do it. It's just gonna be it. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he is like on pace to shatter like the record for U20 scoring in the KHL, previously held by Tarasenko, I think. Couple more points, including an absolute bomb of a snipe this week. I have no idea if he's going to be here, or will he, like, if he stays there, I would hope to be like another 1 year. Because again, I don't think it's like the end of the world. Like when he does come over, I don't really think I would hope the plan isn't to have him go to Iowa. That's my big thing. Like, I don't think he needs to do that. Like, you know, jumping from any league into the, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, depends, I guess, what that team looks like, to be honest with you. Because, like, I don't really see a whole lot of value in seeing like what he looks like next to, like, no disrespect to these guys, like I don't really care if what he looks like next to like Lucchini and Fogarty. Like I don't care. Like, I don't really need to see that. Like he's like the KHL, it's not on par with the NHL, but it's not like that far off. Like it's full of ex-NHL guys, bunch of Russian guys that just like playing in the KHL and making under the table money. Like they fucking love that shit. Fair enough. It's obviously one of the best leagues in the world. It's pro hockey. So like, I don't really see the need to have him now go play in the AHL. Again, depending on, what that lineup looks like, I guess, but, we'll see. I mean, imagine having both him and Khusnutdinov there next year. That'd be exciting, but I don't know how many spots there will be because so many fucking guys have been locked up with no move clause, no trades. Like, I don't know. This is the thing. I keep running into this, trying to project where these prospects like fit into the lineup the next few years. It's like, bad news. We just signed another 32-year-old for 4 years, no move.
Yeah, Maroon. That's the one.
Yeah, he gets a 5x5. God damn it. Full no move.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know. But either way, what a season he's having. And even more impressive that it's come off the back of like 2 years of just getting like shit on relentlessly and just a whole lot of time spent on the bench watching other people play hockey. So just a very impressive, very, very impressive season for him. He was on pace to get into the record book. So good for him. Hopefully, I hope he's here next year. Really do, obviously.
We'd like that. Okay, last one then that I had on the list. And if you have like one or two more, cool. But I want to hear your initial thoughts on the latest acquisition. Will Butcher brought into the fold. Any thoughts?
Was he the most recent one, or was it Chisholm? I don't know which one.
I guess second most recent, but I hadn't heard of the other guy. So
yeah, I think there's probably. I think in terms of at least like in terms of the future, like Chisholm probably more exciting, to be honest. Yeah. Like it's weird because he has been. I mean, he's unbelievable in the AHL, but. He just literally has not had any chance to crack Winnipeg's lineup with how healthy they've been and solid they've been. I wonder if they were, because it sounds like there was never a chance that kid was making it through waivers. So it's not like, well, I'm curious to know if it's like a Tolvanen situation. Like, yeah, he'll make it down. Like, obviously very different scenario, obviously, but like same idea of like, yeah, we're just going to have him go. And then he ends up getting, oh shit, that Lindholm trade happened?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I see from Sean here. Now I'm looking it up. Unless Sean, awesome. You have the details and you can just for me.
I told you, Kuzmenko.
That's it?
No, I don't know. That's just one piece of it per LeBron.
Lindholm trade. There's no extension in the works. Multi-assets involved, including Kuzmenko.
What everyone's here to listen about is let's talk about Declan Chisholm, right? He's played fucking 8 hockey games this year.
Oh god damn it!
It's gonna piss me off until I figure it out.
Yeah, whatever. It's got something to do with Kuzmenko and other pieces. That's what we know.
All right.
But apparently it's happening, and Isha's probably pissing himself right now.
Yeah.
Unless he's busy watching some fight video, banging his head against the wall. I don't know.
The other asset is Quinn Hughes. It's fine.
Oh, man. That would be fun.
I think though, especially given where, and this is back to Chisholm, by the way. And Butcher, I'm curious to see how many looks he actually gets. Like, I think they're pretty excited about Chisholm, and I'd imagine they want to keep him because he does show a ton of upside, like a very, very good two-way defenseman in the AHL. The points have been there. He defends really well. Like, I guess there was just no chance that he was going to make it through waivers. And that's why I was saying before, like, I'm curious to know if, like, they got to the point where maybe they weren't going to get anything in a trade, but like they thought he would at least make it through waivers. Like, I can't imagine that would be the case. So I'm wondering if it's like, oh fuck, he didn't make it through waivers. Because like it sounds like every fucking team in the league was like, yeah, we're gonna take a shot here for free. Curious to know, but I think he's actually going to get looks, just given how. I mean, I hate being mean because he's such a beauty, but John Merrill, like, oh my god, he is. I don't like.
Do you think he knows?
2 years? I don't know. I actually don't.
Do you think John Merrill's sitting there? He's like, why are you guys still playing me? Like, I appreciate it, but I don't get it.
Guys, like, if you want to, like, it's cool. Like, I don't care. I get it, guys. Yeah, there's good popcorn. I mean, I don't care. It is like that whole, like, it's at the point where he, like, you can't. He's virtually unplayable. It's crazy. Yeah. Like,
are you a fan?
I get nervous every time he touches the puck.
No, for sure. Silicon Valley, you a fan?
Oh, I've only seen a few. Oh, yeah, I can't.
Dude, he's straight up big head, where it's just like, oh, you're firing me? Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then he gets hired back on, and literally his only job is to just exist and like be an employee. And he just hangs out on the roof of the building, like drinks during the day, like walks to lunch with other guys that are in the same plan because they got nothing else to do for the day. So they're like, well, we might as well walk. Like that could be John Merrill vibe.
All right, that's interesting. This is just a new little update in this Lindholm thing. My buddy Cam Robinson says, watch out for Tanev in this deal too. ...
I was wondering that. I'm like, what if Tanev is also part of it? But that means big pieces. Like, this is going to be.
Yeah, that's.
Rutherford is blowing his load on one trade, which I've never seen. He usually spreads it across like 2 or 3. This is crazy. I'm really interested.
Interesting.
To your point,
it's interesting.
Vancouver is super fun. So, like, I enjoy this. Plus, getting Isha's hopes up and watching them lose is going to be an interesting perspective. And I love Rick Tocchet. So, here we go.
Such a beauty. It sounds like Tanev is in this deal because even Rick Dhaliwal, beauty Vancouver guy, loved Dhaliwal. He says working. He didn't even like use correct grammar. He said working on to see if Tanev is in this deal as well. If he is rattled, then that means I'd imagine Tanev's in there. But so, wow, there you go. I mean, that's a major level up there for Vancouver. Good for them. Chris Tanev, what a fucking beauty that guy is. My God. There we go. Okay. Did you see? I think it was him. I think BX on, I think it was last weekend, asked him, because of his teeth, he's like, how many bites does it take for you to eat an apple? There's the whole cup.
There was one, I just saw them all like staring down at the screen waiting for a replay to come up. He's like, yeah, this is why we got the best media team.
Yeah,
just like carves him on the spot. Just like, yeah, this is why our media guys are the best.
Oh, Alex Turcotte, first NHL goal.
Hey,
wow,
good for him.
That's awesome.
Didn't even know that he was playing in the NHL, so good for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's that poor fucking kid.
Yeah, that's tough. Now I gotta ask you though. This has to be the last team that Winnipeg wanted to see Declan Chisholm go to, just because of like all the antics of late and where the hate level is between these two teams. Like, imagine being Declan, hating the Wild passionately because you're supposed to, and then being like, oh, hey guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, for him, he's been sitting on the 9th floor like a fan for so many games because he's just around if anyone gets hurt. So he's been like, what that fucker? He's probably going nuts.
He's throwing shit on the ice.
Or who knows? Maybe he's a double agent. Maybe he's just secretly loving it. I don't know. But either way, you can pick up a decent high ceiling player for free. Again, he should be able to play in the NHL. I think they will play him, like another guy that they're going to probably. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked or upset about seeing him in the lineup over either one of Merrill or Goligoski. And like, you really don't want to, like, at this point, there's no point to calling up someone like Lambos or any of those other defensemen down there that are still getting their foot in the AHL, like still getting their footing in the AHL, like no real upside there either. So, yeah, I don't know. That one I'm more excited, honestly. And who knows? Maybe it'll be like a Rem Pitlick situation where he'll have like a few days of glory here, and then who knows? Maybe it'll happen again. But I think it was just a very intriguing pickup. And Will Butcher, I have no. I mean, we've seen him. There are a couple of years where he was a solid enough regular NHL defenseman with like decent upside. Did he have a stop in Pittsburgh? Am I losing my mind?
He just got traded from Pittsburgh, but he never played in the NHL.
Okay, that's right.
He was in Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, I was all okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, like I know nothing about what he's done in the Pittsburgh system. Like that's the level to which he's really been here. But I don't know. Sick in college. I think his first 2 years pro were pretty not like knock your socks off, but I thought he was good. And honestly, though, every year, even like with the exception of his most recent NHL season, I think it was 21-22 with Buffalo, like that was a pretty bad showing. But all the other ones, like he was averaging half a point a game, like doing his job. It's just I'd be lying if I said I've watched him enough to know how he looks out there alongside those points. So I don't really know a whole lot there.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've seen him play well in the NHL with the Devils, but that was a couple years ago. So we'll see. I mean, at this point, with where they're at, especially with Goligoski and Merrill, like, might as well see what these guys got. So I mean, I think what was the Butcher deal? Was like the kid they picked up in the trade for what's his face, Kajkovic, whatever. That's what back the way for Butcher. So I mean, pretty much like a harmless deal there. So he didn't really lose out on anything. But two interesting pickups. But I do think Chisholm's got the potential to be a pretty intriguing one, and at least has a shot to play some games here. I mean, that kid just needs to fucking play at this point. He's been waiting. I think he's played like 10 games this year because he's just been hanging out, like waiting for a shot. And he's got an assist in one of the 2 games he's played in the NHL this season. So there you go.
Yeah, because he probably just like lobbed the puck to Ehlers and things happened.
No, it was a sick. He went McDavid and then just
angled it around Ehlers.
Yeah, that's what he did actually. That was what it was. But yeah, no fuck. We went a whole hour. We did. Well, we're not going to do like an actual roundup. There were literally like 4, maybe not even. I was actually just laughing about one stat as I was going through my like little prospect sheet that I keep track of all our stats on. Specifically, Servac Petrovsky this weekend on Saturday, a 4-3 loss against Flint. I think Owen Sound, I believe, had just under 30 shots on goal that game. Take a guess how many shots on net Servac Petrovsky put up that game. You will. It's going to be a number that you won't. I don't
13.
think I've seen it. It's you have the sheet. God damn it! It is 13 on the money. It's 13 on the money.
What sheet do I have? You don't have our shared doc.
He did. He put up 13 shots.
I was gonna say 8 until you're like, it's a number you'll never say. I'm like, fuck it, 13.
That motherfucker put up 13 shots on goal.
I can't believe I just got that.
What a guess by you. 13 fucking shots on goal, which is unbelievable.
Isha's gonna abuse the face you made when I said that for thumbnails.
13. He had a rough ass week, by the way. But like, I mean, that's impressive either way. So, like, that's like 12% of his shots this year came in that one game.
Yeah, that also kills your shooting percentage, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that high to begin with.
No, it just torpedoes it.
Fucking 13 shots on goal in one game. Like, and that doesn't even include the ones that didn't hit the net. So, like, what if it's like 20 shot attempts? That rules. I love that. I love seeing guys just ripping shots. Like I love that stat line.
From
Like
the
when you go
fucking
check
line every time.
dude, like college hockey, when you go to like their live stats, they do track it as just shot attempts before like they act, and then after the game, they don't even have it available for most of like the websites or whatever. And like there was one game I was watching, BC was kicking the shit out of someone, and like halfway through the second period, Connor Gauthier had 14 shot attempts. So I was like, Jesus Christ, this kid is literally touching the puck and just ripping. Like that's all he's doing. It's rules. Love that. Big fan of those funny ass stats. But anyways, yeah. Shout out Servek Petrovsky for ripping 13 shots on net and a 4-3 loss. That's good shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't know. You'll be shocked to know Riley Height ripped it up this week again. Points in all 4 games. He's up to 82 points in 46 games. I think he's like 10, maybe 15 points shy of his season total last year. I mean, he's setting records at Prince George at this point too. So a lot of good stuff happening. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else we want to do before we let the good people go?
I don't know how we can beat 13 shots on goal for Petrovsky.
It is unbelievable. That fucking rules.
Man.
Well, sounds like that probably will do it. I think next week the goal was to do pretty much draft.
Next week's gonna be pretty draft heavy. Week after that, we hit 100. I don't know what we're gonna do. It probably will be super lame, but Z won't be able to guess jersey numbers anymore. So
yeah, that's kind of brutal. They got to change that. We need to let the boys have little triple digits. Come on.
Triple digits.
Who would be the one player that's like, I want to be number 100 if they were allowed to?
Well, first off, don't do that. Like, you got to go bigger then. Like, I'll be 573.
Can you imagine the fucking shenanigans they would put in their fucking contracts? Like, all these guys need to end their contracts with their jersey numbers now. Could I be number 6,969? Guys, they'll never know. They'll never know. All right, we can if we can get the fuck out of here on that note. That's why people come back every week, baby. That analysis. All right.
Congratulations, Billy. You've graduated the first grade.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you next week for draft talk. We could probably have people ask questions too in the meantime, so we can have some loaded up, ready to go. Is it the same thing? Like, if people want to ask questions, is that link just like out there for all the time, or is that
depends on when he gets it out there? We'll make sure that he gets it out early this week. Like this week, this one that we're recording now, I think it was up like 40 minutes before we started. So no,
perfect.
But if we have it, we will get it out on Monday or Tuesday so people can start peppering in early.
And as always, my the Gmail that I used to use for mailbag still in my bio if people want to throw questions in there in the meantime, if that's easier, whatever works. And we'll see you next week. Maybe. Or we won't. Who knows?
The Doyle rules.